welcome into another episode of the Pain and Panic Podcast. Adam Sheets, Chris Reynolds with you. Thank you for joining us. Have a lot of NFL talk today. We have some fantasy football talk as fantasy football playoffs start to get up. NFL postseason comes around. We're going to rank the NFL teams you'd most want to play, you'd least want to play as the postseason approaches fastly here. But we do have to start. We've done a lot of college football coaching search. Chris, I'm not going to lie. When Penn State hired their coach, I thought we were done.
Me too,
I
Adam.
think we were done. I've heard rumblings about something happening, but this is the last thing I expected to happen was Michigan to fire head coach Sharon Moore for cause after an alleged, I think I have to say alleged for this, inappropriate relation with a staffer, believed to be his assistant, that he had a very inappropriate relationship with. He's been fired for cause, and now Sharon Moore is in jail because they said he had some problems, and he stormed out of his house. He allegedly broke into his mistress's house, and allegedly, again, I have to use this word allegedly a lot, he threatened to kill her and kill himself with a knife, and then he stormed off, and he is now in jail and expected to be hearing the charges. He's officially, right now, they believe it is assault, but the official charges will be dropped the day of this posting here on Friday. So a very sad scene in Ann Arbor that I think when it first broke, a lot of people were having some fun with it, but after everything that's happened, it's been a little less fun to have with for a lot of people. So
yeah, in the beginning, it was like more of a haha, and then by the end of it, it was like, oh wow, this escalated quickly. Allegedly. Glad we're starting the podcast on a fun note here, but
I didn't know how we were going to transition into it. That's just why we're starting with it. So
yeah, just had to get that mentioned. But yeah, no, I don't really know. I think just not going into the personal details, but Michigan now lost Harbaugh, which was a big loss, obviously.
Yes.
And then they actually, we're building, back up. I think this is going to, losing a coach anytime is going to be a bit of a problem, but it seems like they kind of knew this. It wasn't like all of a sudden they kind of knew for a little bit. So they were able to try to still get guys in and, find a replacement. So we'll see how that impacts Michigan going forward and the rest of, the college football landscape. But for the football team, it is a big deal to lose your coach.
Yes, it is a big deal. Now, a lot of people want him fired for performance. They thought if he would have lost one more game this year, they would have fired him just off that. But, of course, these personal issues make the job a little easier. You don't have to buy him out. Of course, this is a terrible, terrible situation. I think a lot of people, just to touch on the personal stuff, a lot of people are missing the point on having a lot of people talk about Sharon Moore's family, who are like the real people that have to deal with this in the worst way, like because they maybe didn't know this was going on. Talk about his kids who find out now their dad's in prison and doesn't have a job. It's just a lot that they're trying to process. So you feel bad for them. Obviously, there's a lot that goes on, and we'll let the facts officially come out before, we place any blame on anybody, but it sees to be who the blame's going to be placed on. It's pretty simple, so it's not going to be much to talk about there. But looking at Michigan here, it's a big loss. A lot of people are speculating that this decision had been, weeks in the making. And a lot of people, said that maybe they waited to make it now because they wanted to make sure all those players on the recruiting class signed on the dotted line before they decide to fire the coach, which if that's the case, for lack of a better term, kind of a scumbag move. But yeah, I hope that's not the case. I hope it was they were trying to get all their facts together and they finally had it. We're like, okay, we have to fire him. Like this isn't speculation anymore. We have cold hard facts, so we have to make the decision, which I believe is what actually happened. But if they did, and that's screwing over the players, that's where I always draw the line. So we'll see what the portal does. They're not in much of a rush. Of course, you don't want to lose your entire roster, but you have some time to make this decision. Has to be by January 2nd. That's when the portal officially opens, so you want to be able to bring a class in and not just lose your whole team. Kalen DeBoer is going to be brought up, the head coach at Alabama. He was brought up for a lot of jobs this cycle, and, things haven't went maybe the way he was hoping at Bama in his first 2 years, so I think he'll be brought up. There's a lot of names that are going to be brought up. Jesse Minter is going to be brought up, the defensive coordinator for the Chargers, who's the defense coordinator at Michigan. Don't think he'd take it. I think he's in line to potentially get an NFL job here soon if he waits it out because, his defense has been great the last 2 years. So we'll see where Michigan goes. I think it's a job that not many people expected, and the coaching carousel continues to turn. I said The top guy a week ago that would have been on their list was Matt Campbell, but he's kind of locked up now, Chris. So too bad.
Woo!
Yeah, timing's weird. They would have been sleeping on his front door last night if he was still at Iowa State, but now he's at Penn State, so that changes some
There we go.
things. But I'm not going to complain about that one. But yes, so terrible situation at Michigan. Feel bad for all that are affected. Hopefully everything ends peacefully, and hopefully Michigan's able to move on. Of course, I don't want to see them get better than Penn State, but you hope everyone and the players are taken care of. So let's transition out of that.
NFL football. Yay.
Yes. Michigan needs a coach. You know who does it? Any NFL team right now that's not named the Titans or the Giants. So there you go.
Yeah.
So they don't need coaches. But let's go into the NFL this week, Chris. So do you want to start with fantasy football, or do you want to start with the NFL teams? I'll let you pick.
Let's start with the teams. Right now we're recording Thursday night. We don't really think the Bucks-Falcons game is going to be that impactful. Maybe if the Bucks lose, it could make them lose the NFC South division, but I don't think we needed to stay up to wait for the outcome of that. All we need to mention is Kyle Pitts' legacy game right here. It's all going to change right now from here on out. Kyle Pitts going to be a generational tight end. Yeah, that's really the only thing happening in this game. I mean, if the Falcons win, I think, doesn't matter that much because the Bucks and the Panthers play 2 head-to-head games. That's really going to be the division, so this game doesn't have that much meaning, but we could go into our first fun segment today.
Yeah, currently sits 14-13. Falcons lead. As Chris mentioned, Kyle Pitts has 2 touchdowns. Big Kirko's playing well, but the Bucks, you mentioned, would be great to get the win to keep at least the tie with the Panthers, but they still play head-to-head twice, so it'll work itself out that way if they do not get the job done. But so we ranked here, we have 20 teams here, Chris, that we believe are true playoff potential contenders. Some more than others. So in the AFC, we have the Broncos, the Patriots, the Jags, the Steelers, the Bills, the Chargers, and Texans. That would be the playoffs that ended today. We added 3 teams on the outside looking in, which would be the Colts, Ravens, and Chiefs. I really want to add the Dolphins, but I don't think Chris is going for it, so I'm not going to be able to add
the Bengals would be the team that, honestly, if they were added, would probably go up so much, but the chance of them making it is extremely low.
Could have added the Dolphins and the Vikings, but nope, we're not getting it done, I guess.
Not letting the Vikings in either.
Vikings aren't mathematically eliminated yet. Uh-oh. Don't let 9 get hot. But in the NFC, we have the Rams, the Packers, Eagles, Bucks, Seahawks, Niners, Bears. That would be the playoffs that ends today. Teams on the outside looking in right now. Lions really the only one that are staring down a potential wild card spot, it seems like. Panthers, of course, can as well. They sit at 7-6, but their path seems to be the division. And then the Cowboys at 6-1, still trying to chase down the Eagles to keep that NFC East curse alive. That goes back all the way to 2004. A team has not repeated in the NFC East. The Eagles looking to do that. They sit at 8-5. The Cowboys at 6-1. So those are our 20 teams here, Chris. So we're going to rank them. Which way do you want to go? The team you'd most want to play first, and then all the way to the least team, or do you want to start with the team you don't want to, the least team you'd want to play, and go to the team you'd want to play?
Let's go with the team I'd least want to play to the team I'd most want to play.
Alrighty, Chris, I will give you first pick here, my friend.
All right. The team, and this is in either conference.
Yes, you go either. We're all 20, so
if
they're all
I were a team, the team that would really scare me the most to play, I would say right now, is the Los Angeles Rams. Matthew Stafford is having one of his best seasons. Puka Nacua, especially after the last game, it's like he's probably the second best receiver. He was getting all the attention early on. JSN came on strong, kind of took the attention, but they have Puka Nacua to get you to the end zone or to the red zone, and then Devontae Adams has been one of the best red zone options this season. That passing game is incredible, and they can still run the ball pretty well with Kyron Williams and Blake Corum. Defensively, they're still very solid. I think this team, they have a great coach on McVay. They have veterans on this team, and they have just really good guys that I think are peaking going towards the end of the playoffs here.
Yeah, so I did some things here just looking at breaking down their records of the Rams 10-3, which is the best record in the NFC, tied with the Seahawks. They play next week on Thursday Night Football. The Rams have the most wins of any team in either conference against teams with winning records, and also the most wins against current playoff teams. So Rams have been dominant this year. They're 6-3 against teams with winning records, 5-2
Yeah.
against teams in the playoffs currently. So
And
great
their
thing.
losses, that Eagles loss could have easily gone the other way. That stupid Panthers loss could have gone the other way. And that Thursday night game against the Niners was just, I think, just a collapse
Yeah.
of a one game thing.
Yeah. I think they were clear cut number one here. I think
Yeah.
that's I agree 100%. When you get to number two, I think it's a little harder because obviously the team in the NFC that would have the second best record would be the Seahawks, who sit there. You look at, so I guess I'll go to the AFC, and boy, I don't know where I want to go here. This is tough. I think a lot of these teams I have concerns about.
Very slim pickings here, Adam.
I
I'm
know.
very lucky you gave me the first pick.
Yes, yeah, because the Rams I thought were clear cut number one. I'm going to take a risk. Take a risk. I wouldn't want to play the Patriots. I'm going to take a risk here. I think they've been really good this year. I have my concerns with this team going to the playoffs. First-year quarterback with Drake May. There's a lot of questions about this team. But you look at them, they're 11-2. They're 3-1 against teams with winning records, 2-1 against playoff teams. So they haven't played many of the big games, but they've been able to win them, and they haven't lost a game since week 3. So it's been a long time since they've lost. So I value that, and the Broncos are in the same path, but I'd lean Patriots because I just don't know why. I just trust Drake May slightly more than Bo Nix. I trust that offense, I think, as a unit a little more than I trust the Broncos right now. So taking a risk there. I'm not confident in it. Like I said, after that after the Rams is the clear one, I think there's a lot of teams that every team you could pick, you could talk yourself into, but then you'd also have concerns on the back end with it as well.
I think this is an okay pick.
Yeah, I don't love it.
I will say, if you're in New England, if it's cold in New
They
England,
get home field, yeah.
they go home field. That matters. It's going to be bad weather probably because at least it's going to be cold. And I think some teams might not like that. I will say, Adam, I wish we actually went the other way because it is a lot easier to pick the bad teams on here than these good teams because
Yes.
yeah, this was not hard. This was a mistake. All right. The next team that I'd least want to play, I'd like to play most of those teams, honestly. I'm looking at each of these teams like, yeah,
You
I
could
could easily
talk yourself into playing any of these teams and be
I
like, I have a
honestly think
chance.
I could. All right. The team I'd least want to play, I guess I'm just going to say the Bills, and it's only because of Josh Allen, and he could single-handedly win the Bills the game. I think that has to be the pick. I think offensively, you're going to have a good game against the Bills, but it's pretty much impossible to stop him.
Yep, I nearly picked them. They were nearly the team I picked one just because of the playoff experience in Josh Allen. So could talk myself into it. I did not. My second team, I'm going to stick with the Peas. I'll take the Packers. I think the pass rush they have, mentioned the same thing with New England. Home field at Lambeau is a really, really tough thing, especially in the NFC. You look at those top teams, all play most of them in a dome. So I think most of them are better inside. So I think that's a big thing. So bringing them up to the north could be an issue. Micah Parsons has been really good for them this year. Seems like they're hitting their stride. They have some big wins. They just beat the Bears. They swept the Lions. So they've looked really good outside of maybe, a few pothole games that they've had, which you look at it. It's the Browns game, the Panthers game, and then the Eagles game. They've struggled, but they also have some really, really good wins, and they've looked really good. So I'll take the Packers here. Again, don't love it, but I'll take them.
I think that's a good pick. We're going to get to this later with their receivers, but now that they have Jaden Reed back and Christian Watson is back and looking good, we're like, oh, wow, they do have a good receiving core again. They could actually throw the ball. Josh Jacobs, injury to watch, he, saying his knee is structurally sound. That's good.
Love what you like. That's what you love to hear coming into the playoffs.
What isn't sound? Tell me what the problem is because he missed practice with his knee injury again. Yeah. For me, next pick, I just have to pick this team, and just the Seahawks defense has been really good lately, and I think if you have Jackson Smith and Jigba, he's just a guy that has been so incredible that he could power that offense, and their defense I would not want to play. They notoriously have the 12th man with that home field advantage if they end up getting a home field. They might, if the Rams slip or if the Seahawks can at least be the highest wildcard team, then maybe they get a home field in there. So, Seahawks right there.
Seahawks control their own destiny to get to the 1 seed. All they got to do is beat the Rams next week, and then they'll get the 1 seed because they'll have a better record. So, they have potentially could do that. The only reason holding me off from the Seahawks, because if you look at it just on paper, you'd have them really high on this list, is the fact that it's a little different, but does feel a little bit like last year with Sam Darnold. And it's or is it going to happen again where it's just at the end of the year he's going to slow down?
I think their defense is better and their run game is better than the Vikings.
Yeah, but
That's
Sam Darnold.
that's what I'm saying is like, if Darnold didn't play well, I think you were going to beat the Vikings. Whereas Darnold, I think, could have a bad game, but the defense could honestly just keep you in it.
Big fantasy implications, Chris. Devin Culp just scored a touchdown for the Tampa Bay Bucks.
I think I'm going against him this week.
Yeah, big fantasy implications there. So the Bucks take the lead. They lead 19-14. Might go for two. No, they haven't decided yet. All right. So they're sitting here. Oh, I don't want to do it, but I also want to do it. Okay. I'll talk myself into it. They're gonna figure it out. Give me the Eagles. They're gonna
Okay.
They're gonna figure it out. They're gonna.
Here's what I would have said. If the Eagles beat the Chargers last week, I probably would have picked them, probably instead of the Seahawks. After that Chargers loss, that was the worst thing I've ever seen from Jalen Hurts. By far his worst game. It was atrocious. I think everyone could agree with that.
Yeah.
I think the fans are done with the team. Like, they are clearly revolting. Sirianni, I think, is completely lost the locker room. Hurts seems to not trust anyone. Saquon, honestly, has kind of looked better recently. He's one of the least.
He looked
problems.
good. He looked really good against the Chargers.
AJ Brown, whenever AJ Brown gets going, the team loses. I don't know who I would trust in the Eagles right now.
The reason I'll talk myself into it, and it's weird because they didn't play well offensively, is Kevin Patullo actually called a decent game on Monday. Like, the plays were there. They just didn't make them. Like, there were some times where I thought Dan Orlovsky break this down, where there was one where Jalen didn't pull the trigger on a post pattern. I think it was to Dotson that they called that it was open and he just didn't pull the trigger on. Like, he had the play open and he forced the ball in the interception in overtime. Like, they had the play in the flat to Goddard and he forced it over the top. So I'll talk like the offense looked like there were plays to be made and they just didn't make them, where in previous weeks it just looked like they were doing nothing. So
I would say against the Bears, Hurts was just not making plays. That's what's scaring me, is Jalen's play has been worse. Usually
hey, you get him to the playoffs. He is one of the better playoff risers we've seen in the NFL.
Jalen has been a good, at least like in the Super Bowls especially, he's actually been good in the playoffs, or in the Super Bowl. I think right now Jalen Hurts looks broken. I think the whole offensive receiving group is just completely unmotivated right now. A.J. Brown is definitely pissed. Devontae Smith hasn't been seen in weeks. And, defensively, I'd still say, especially with Jalen Carter, I still think that defense is good. It's just offensively, besides, a fake tush push to Saquon, they had no offense.
One other thing we can talk about, your offense struggling. Sometimes you need a little medicine. Could the Raiders be some medicine at home?
Oh, yeah. And no Geno Smith for the Raiders, so it's going to be Kenny Pickett.
That scares me. Kenny Pickett back in the city of brotherly love. Ooh.
The Eagles know him very well. Okay.
I'll tell you, if they lose to Kenny Pickett, that city's gonna burn down.
The Eagles will probably get booed out of the stadium, and I hope the Cowboys overtake them if that happens.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Next one for me. This is now we get to the fun teams, but actually I'm gonna pick one more team that secretly I really don't want to play. I'm gonna pick them. It's probably too early, but I think you're gonna be jealous. I don't want to play the Texans.
Yeah.
The Texans have probably the best unit of any group on here, but you could argue the Rams' offense. But I would say the Texans' defense, especially in the playoffs, defense wins championships. It's a saying for a reason. The Texans have probably the best defense that we've seen in a while. We saw the Chiefs just completely get decimated by that. Every time there's a tackle, you felt it through the screen. They hit and they hit hard. I don't want to play them. They have a really good kicker, and they play indoors. Well, in the playoffs, they're not going to be playing at their home stadium, but if they could just kick field goals, they could probably win this game. They only need to get to 20 points pretty much every single game, unless they throw a pick six. That defense does not allow more than 20 points. So, that scares me.
My next team, I'll take the 1 seed in the AFC. I'll take the Denver Broncos here. I think for similar reasons you just said. They have a really good defense, just like you said. They potentially right now would be the 1 seed, so they'd have the bye, which automatically gets you to the divisional round, which is a plus. And they're a team, Mile High is a tough place to play. It's historically been tough to play in the playoffs. They're a team with a experienced head coach in Sean Payton. Bo Nix went to the playoffs last year. Didn't get the job done, but he was there. So yeah, I think the Broncos, the teams left, I think they'd be a tough out, and they have a lot of things going their way. And one thing that sometimes helps you, sometimes hurts you, is they've won a lot of close games.
I can see why you picked the Broncos. I would have picked them next because I think their defense is legitimately good, especially I think, is Patrick Surtain back, or he's going to come back soon?
PS2's back, yeah.
Yeah, so as long as he's there with Nick Benito, like those two guys alone can make a defense. So I think their
Hmm.
defense is really good. And of
Harvey's
these
getting
other,
better. Harvey's getting better too as a running back,
RJ
a
Harvey
reliable
has
running back.
come
Yeah.
along. Yeah, he's kind of been up and down, but he's a rookie. You understand that. I like it. I like it. This is when I think we could honestly flip it now to draft the teams that we'd most want to play and put them on the other person's team. This is brutal because I'm thinking about this and I'm like,
There's a
I
team I really wouldn't want to play in here.
there's one you might be picking your own team, but
I have reasons for it.
if I'm gonna pick the team that actually be like, oh god, like I don't want to play this team.
I
Well,
know, I know you should pick, but you're seems like you're being shy with it.
here's my whole thing. I'm gonna pick this team, so they could just give me them, the Lions.
That's who I thought you'd pick.
However, here's the thing with the Lions. The Lions at home are incredible. The Lions on the road are not nearly as good. Jared Goff inside the dome versus outside the dome,
Mhm.
terrible. And if he's playing against the Rams, I think Jared Goff can be okay. They're indoors. Play against the Packers though, not looking good. Play in Philly, not looking good. Tampa, maybe warm weather should be okay, but if Jared Goff is playing outside in the Lions too, just the Lions at home just have good, very good home field advantage. They're a different team. But I like the Lions, especially Amon-Ra's back. Their defense does give me some question, especially they always get injuries, but give me the Lions, I guess. Also, Gibbs always has a chance to,
Yeah.
350-yard touchdowns to go nuclear.
I'll say this is weird the way it's going to sound. But if I was the Lions, would you want the 7 seed to play Green Bay again just because it's really hard to beat a team 3 times?
I said this year the Saints lost to the Bucks in the playoffs. The Saints beat them pretty handedly twice in the regular season. And then, of course, it's like, oh, it can't beat a team 3 times. And then, like, of course, the Saints lose. And I was like, I would have rather split because it's whatever.
Yeah.
I think if you're the Lions, you'd probably want to play the. I mean, ideally, obviously, you'd play the Eagles. That's your dream matchup right there. Just the
They
team
look
that is
bad
losing
against the
everyone.
Birds, though. They look bad against
They
the
did.
Birds.
I guess you could say the Packers would be just because they've played them so much that by the end of the year, it's going to be like a 50-50 coin flip. I wouldn't want to play the Packers, though, because the Packers, I think, are good to beat the Lions because the Lions don't really have a
Yeah.
defense because they're all hurt, and the Packers
Well-
can spread the ball around so well.
Well, I guess best case scenario for the Lions is the Bears end up winning the division.
True, if the Bears win the division, you probably love to play the Bears.
Yeah, go get them in Chicago. That's best
However,
case.
if the Lions beat the Bears this week, which they probably need to get to the playoffs, the Bears would have won twice against them in the regular season, Adam.
That is true.
Then you
Yeah.
have to beat them 3 times.
I know. Yeah, but does that first game count? They scored like 52 points on them, man. They
That's-
scored like 52.
Hey, the Saints killed the Bucks that year in the regular
Yeah,
season.
they beat like
so-
31-3 at their place.
Yeah.
Jameis.
All right, I'll take the Lions. I don't feel good about them on the road, but I really like the talent offensively, at least.
All right, I'm taking my boys. I'm taking
Yeah.
the Jags here.
Have to.
Here's why. So I've looked at this, and I'm like, Jags are 9-4. People don't really talk about this. Like when they talk about all the 9-4 teams, they don't talk about Jacksonville. In the AFC and in overall the entire NFL, the Jags are 5-3 against teams with a winning record and 4-3 against playoff teams, which is the second most in the entire NFL behind the Rams and the most in the AFC. So they've beaten a lot of good teams. That's what they've been able to do. They played a really, really tough schedule, and they've been able to get to 9-4. They've had playoff success. They won a playoff game against the Chargers a couple years ago. Right now, they'd be slated to play the Bills, but their Bills and Chargers are tied right now, so that could easily flip at some point. Or you get the Texans, who you split with. That'd be a fun matchup. That'd probably be like 10-7 as a final score. But it's just the Jags they're a tough team. Liam Cohen's got the team rolling right now. They're coming off their best game of the season against the Colts, where they looked really, really good. And Trevor played maybe the best game of his career. So, yeah, I think the Jags are a tough out right now, and a lot of people aren't talking about them. Now, of course, everything I said can be flipped the other way because they've also had some really, really bad games. So,
I
that'd
think
be
there's
the-
probably like a 50% chance that like the Jags would just show up and be bad on their own. That's kind of why however, I would say they're probably one of the more balanced teams
Mhm.
on here because I'm looking at the rest of these teams. It's like they have a good offense, no defense, stuff like
Yep.
that. So I mean,
yeah, they're really balanced. They find ways to win games. So,
yeah. All right, I don't hate it. I'm gonna pick a team that there's 2 teams I'm looking at. I'm just gonna pick it. If the Chiefs make the playoffs, I don't want to play them.
Yep. They're
You had to be
I'm looking at them.
Adam, if they win next week against the Chargers, they have a pretty easy path to make the playoffs because they have to beat the Raiders and the Titans, which should be pretty easy to do. So they could realistically get in. The Chargers, no offensive line. Their offense was terrible. It took an all-time collapse by the Eagles offense to beat them. In overtime, mind you. So I honestly think the Chiefs could make the playoffs. I think it's probably just comes down to next week. And if they make it, you don't want to play Mahomes in the playoffs. They're
Yeah.
going to be all annoying. They know all the tricks. They have been there before. They all know what they're getting into. And they're going to be pissed off nobody believes in us because all regular season they were bad and people wrote them off. If they make it in, it also means they got hot at the end of the season. If they beat the Broncos, beat the Raiders, beat the Titans, that's coming into playoffs with a full head of steam. Imagine too if you're like one of the top seeds in the AFC. We got a top seed, and then you're playing Mahomes
Mm-hmm.
in the first round. That kind of sucks.
That'd be really bad for the Broncos, who could be that 2 seed. One thing, the questions is 10-7 going to get them in. That's the big question right now for them.
If you look at the Chargers schedule, it's not an easy schedule at all.
But all they got to do is who have the tiebreaker? Would
Well,
the Chiefs have the tiebreaker?
The Chiefs need to beat the Chargers next week.
Yeah, but that would give them the tiebreaker.
I believe so.
All right. Because I didn't know what if a Broncos Chargers game would affect
I'll do it right
division
now.
record. But the other thing is like the Texans could potentially get to 10 wins. They do have the tiebreaker, so you need the Chargers to stay at 10. The Chargers get to 11. The Bills getting to 10 would tie it, so they would need the Chargers to stay at 10 wins is really their only path, or the Texans to fall off, which is possible as well. But yeah, so it's not an easy path. If they get in, though, I'm with you. You do not want to see Patrick Mahomes and that team in the playoffs if they find their way into it. All right, for me, I'm going to take the San Francisco 49ers.
That was my next pick.
Playoff experience is huge. I probably would have taken them over the Jags, honestly, if I'm being real, but I had to take my boys. But the Niners, there's the resumes, I've been talking about it, looking at theirs here. They're 4-1 in the division, 3-4 against teams with a winning record, 2-4 against playoff teams. So that's not good. They've really beaten up on the bad teams in the NFL, 6-0 against teams that are 500 or worse. But you got to trust a Kyle Shanahan-led team when they get to the playoffs. They know how to manage it. They've been to the NFC Championship game multiple times. Have they had a playoff run with Shanahan where they lost their first game? I don't think they have. I think every time Shanahan's been to the playoffs, they've at least won one. So
let's see. They either miss the playoffs or go to the NFC Championship or further.
Yeah, that's basically their path. So if they get in, they're at least going to win one. So I think that's a threat. Brock Purdy has playoff experience. Christian McCaffrey, that offense. If that offense get healthy, they're really, really dangerous. They've shown that. And if their defense can put it together for a full 60 minutes, and Robert Saleh has proven that they have the ability to do that as well. So, I like the Niners as a threat in the wild card in the NFC.
If the Niners had Nick Bosa and Fred Warner, I would probably have picked them a few rounds ago. However, without those two stars on defense, it's really hard to pick them when they have trouble getting pressure on the quarterback. Fred Warner, who was the heart and soul of that defense, is gone. And I think offensively, they're still really good with McCaffrey. McCaffrey single-handedly probably creates like 14 points a game.
Yes.
So I can see why. I wanted to pick the Niners last pick, but I just thought, who would I actually rather see, the Niners without Bosa and Warner or the Chiefs and Mahomes? Just the fear aspect of the Chiefs is just worse than anything.
Plus, you'd have an inexperienced quarterback against Patrick Mahomes in a playoff game, which would be really scary.
Yeah, I would say to the Niners, though, Purdy's looking better. He looks like he's, in the beginning it was a little rough when he's coming back from injury, but he's kind of getting his feet under him. And yeah, I like the pick. That's where I would have gone next.
Did you figure out who has the tiebreaker between the Chiefs and Chargers if the Chiefs win?
If the Chiefs beat the Chargers next week, the Chiefs would have it.
All right. So the Chargers would need to go 1-3 over the last 4, which is possible.
Well, the Chargers, though, actually, they have to play. So the Chargers have to play the Texans, they have to play the Broncos, and they have to play the Cowboys.
Where's the game against the boys?
It's in Dallas.
Ooh.
And also, mind you, the Chiefs, I will say this, so if the Broncos have, or
that's
in the final
scary
week,
part.
the Broncos could easily just, take off their starters, let the Chargers in.
If you're a Chiefs fan, you are rooting for the Patriots and Broncos to have the same record going into Week 18.
Yeah. I'll say if the Chiefs beat the Broncos, Raiders, and Titans, and they went out, then I actually think they'd beat the Chargers. I think they'd take the Chargers spot.
Yeah.
But I think that Broncos match really going to decide it all. But
Probably.
Next pick for me, I'm just going to list our options again. Steelers, Chargers, Colts, Ravens in the AFC. NFC is Bucks, Bears, Cowboys, Panthers. That's kind of an atrocious set of options. If I had to pick one, give me the Cowboys because I think
Ooh.
their offense is probably the best unit on here right now, and I think I'm just going to pick a team that actually has a strength. Whereas all these other teams, I don't know.
Wow. That surprises me because the one thing with the Cowboys is, well, they get one home playoff game, but if you take them
True.
away from AT&T Stadium,
True. I know.
plus,
But here's the thing: if they win, if they get to the playoffs, they're going to have a first round home game, right?
yes, they would. The
Yeah.
other issue is they have not been a team that historically has played well when they've gotten to the playoffs. So,
Also true, but I will say with CeeDee Lamb and Pickens, this is probably the best receivers they've had in a
mm,
while. And I would say Javonte Williams looks like a good running back, which they haven't actually had in a while either. And Dak is playing some of his best football. And I think
yeah.
their defense is very much improved from the beginning of the
Yeah,
year.
but they'd have to play the Niners. There's demons there.
Oh,
There's
God.
demons.
Well, I have the
There's
Niners too. It's okay.
Yeah, that same way the Packers are praying they don't have to play the Niners. Demons. Yeah, but all right. For me, I don't, I don't want to take them, Chris. I'm taking the Bears.
Adam, this team was literally leading the whole NFC last week, and
Yes.
I did not want to pick them either. I don't believe in this Caleb Williams first playoff appearance. The Bears never make the playoffs. It seems like a happy story to make the playoffs. They're probably going to be a wild card team if they even make it. Honestly, they could easily
Yeah,
fall off because they have
no,
a tough
they could fall
schedule.
off. But
Yeah.
that wasn't even the team I was thinking about. There was another team looking at. I'm like, I can't take them. After everything I've said, I can't take them. But the Bears, they can run the ball really well. They've found a way to run the ball with DeAndre Swift. Caleb can make some big plays. Ben Johnson, really, really creative. So, we'll give them an upside if they can get to the playoffs, maybe to pull off an upset.
Well, news alert: Fred Warner is actually going to be going on the Ryan Russillo podcast throughout the rest of the season to talk. Just got that now. I'd love that's like Ryan Russillo's guy. It's just a little shout out there.
Huh,
But
there you go.
very excited to listen to Fred Warner talk about the Niners.
All right, take your favorite quarterback. Come on, I know where you want to go.
What?
You gonna take him? You gonna take him?
Who are you talking about?
I'm taking a guy you've been trashing in our group chat all week. Are you gonna take him?
No, God, no. I'm not touching that team. I'm against them now. All right, if this team somehow found a way to make it,
You're
I'd
gonna pick
actually
another
be
guy you've
afraid.
trashed for the last week.
I'm just gonna pick the Ravens.
Yep.
Yeah, Lamar finally threw a touchdown. Good for him. And this is kind of similar to the Chiefs thing of like, or I guess more so the Bills' point of like, I don't think the team is that good, but I'm still afraid to play the quarterback. Lamar, I wouldn't be afraid of to play right now, but if Lamar gets healthy by the playoffs and the team makes it, you're like, oh God, we have to play Lamar in the first week. That's going to be like just your whole week is just preparing for Lamar and Derrick Henry. So I still think that's a dangerous combo, especially in the cold. If they end up having to go to, let's say, well, they'd win the division, so they'd play the best wild card team, which would
Bills.
that could be a Bills Ravens again.
Oh, hey, get him in Baltimore. Make a difference.
Yeah, it would be in Baltimore.
Yeah, but yeah, all right.
Or
Yeah.
if the Bills end up beating the Patriots could end up having to go to Baltimore.
I'm gonna get you to take this guy because I'm taking the Bucks.
I have first pick. You're taking them.
Yeah, I'm taking the Bucks. All right. So here's why. I like the Bucks. They're my Super Bowl pick out of the NFC. They haven't lost a home playoff game since Brady's last game ever. So they've been good at home. Baker's been able to play well in the playoffs, so I'll take the Bucks.
Here's the point for the Bucks. They're a playoff experience group with a lot of vets and a lot of people coming back right before the playoffs.
Yep.
That's the point. McMillan looks really good. Egbuka has looked slightly better today. Mike Evans looks okay. Godwin looks okay, but they're all back on the field at least. Baker, I would say, has been playing some of the worst football we've seen from him since the Carolina days. But
Playing solid tonight. Solid.
he's playing
Not good
solid
enough,
tonight compared to recent play. So maybe, yeah. I think that is the smart next pick.
Plus, also with Baker, I saw this stat that Amazon put on today: 8 offensive coordinators in 8 seasons for Baker. That's just sad. You just feel bad for the guy.
Yeah.
Liam Cohen he was cooking with, and now Liam Cohen's cooking for my boy, the Prince. So,
yeah. All right. My choices now are going to be Bryce Young, Phillip Rivers,
or Riley Leonard, or Tyler Warren.
No, it's gonna be Phillip Rivers. Phillip Rivers is gonna play.
Yeah, but he's got to stay healthy. He's
Yeah.
got to get beat up here early.
Aaron Rodgers or Justin Herbert, and you think, oh, it has to be Herbert. We're going to get to Herbert later, but that guy has really just pissed off most of America. So I'm not taking him.
Watch your mouth, buddy.
No, he
That's
needs
two
to watch
times.
his because
You said it twice. You've said it twice on this podcast
he
already.
said what?
That word. I'm not repeating
That's
you.
not a bad word.
No, you got to watch it. It get demonetized. People
You
don't
said
like
things
it.
we had to blurp out on the show.
We didn't have to. Yeah, that was my fault. That wasn't my fault. I
All
don't want to blurp it out.
This is gonna sound stupid. Give me Phillip Rivers and the Colts. Here's why, Adam. If the Colts make the playoffs, that means Phillip Rivers isn't bad. If Phillip Rivers isn't bad, they still have Jonathan Taylor, Tyler Warren, Michael Pittman, and their defense maybe got healthy. Maybe DeForest Buckner came back, and maybe Sauce Gardner came back. I don't know if he's gonna miss, how much time he's gonna miss. So you could tell me the Colts figure something out new with Phillip Rivers, they squeak into the playoffs, and then I'm like, oh, well, if Phillip Rivers is actually decent and can just give the ball to their best guys, we can see what, at the beginning of the year, Daniel Jones just doing little dump-offs that work.
Yeah, could happen. We'll see. Me, taking the Steelers.
Yeah.
I'm
trying to pick upside, Adam. I think the Colts have a higher upside than most of those teams.
Yeah, sure. Phillip Rivers looked great in his last playoff game 5 years ago.
He's been resting for years, getting ready for this moment.
Yeah, with his
he
22...
sacrificed his Hall of Fame case this season.
No, with his 22 kids. I'm taking the Steelers. You know why? Get them at home. Packers's tough. I know Mike Tomlin hasn't won a playoff game since the Obama administration, but Aaron Rodgers could maybe, in a playoff game, could maybe put some old voodoo magic out there. Probably not, but, the Steelers are a team that they can find ways to win, and they have guys who have known how to do it in the playoffs for a long time. So there's my upside for the Steelers.
Well, I think you had to pick them. However, when I want to, Tampa, by the way, just recovered a fumble.
Yes,
so
they
it looks
did.
like, looks like that game might be over. Here's my problem with the Steelers too is
I've got a lot of problems with the Steelers.
Well, there's a lot. You're right. The Bills might miss out on the division, but they're just gonna play the Pittsburgh Steelers in round one and be like, oh, we're fine.
Yeah.
Who would you rather play? If you're the Patriots, right? You're probably gonna have to play the worst wildcard team, which could be the Chiefs or it could be maybe the Texans or the Chargers, maybe.
Yeah.
That's a tougher matchup than the Bills, who are gonna get the Steelers.
Yeah, but they could also get the Ravens or Bengals.
I think the Bengals might be out. I think the Ravens are.
Ravens
No,
only
but
game back.
We want to get the Ravens. The Ravens aren't getting the wild card. They don't only get the division.
I'm talking about, you said about the...
The Bills. Oh, you're saying the Bills can get the Bengals
Yeah, they could
True,
also get the
true.
Ravens.
True.
In Baltimore. Yeah,
All right,
so that's
maybe.
probably the thing. Also, the Patriots right now aren't thinking that. They're thinking 1 seed. So,
All right, here's my problem. I don't want to pick this guy because he is a terrible, annoying
but
person.
you're a Saints fan. Ma.
I don't want to pick this other team. I don't think this. I picked them to make the playoffs last week. So,
But you just take Jim Harbaugh. Don't take Justin Herbert. Take Jim Harbaugh and Jesse Minter and that defense.
all right, I'm going to take John Harbaugh right here in the Chargers. I
Jim,
really like.
You didn't take. You said John. You're taking Jim.
Jim.
Yeah.
I'm taking Jim. Omari and Hampton coming back from an injury. Looked pretty good his first week back. The offensive line is brutal. And offensively, I just think they have a terrible quarterback back there, but they have a good running back and bad offensive line. Defensively, though, I think they're still pretty good. They made a lot of plays last week, and I like that team. They have a lot of options, and I think offensively they could look right, but I think their defense is still good enough some weeks. They're well coached, and with their running back coming back, I think they get healthy at the right time. However, if the team wins, Justin Herbert is not going to want to talk to the sideline reporter because he's too good for them. Here's my whole thing about the Herbert sideline reporter situation, Adam. No, I need to talk about this. As someone who's worked in sports media, the biggest fear I always had was the athlete being like, I don't want to do this, blah, 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 and being like annoying. Maybe like I'm always afraid of asking people, for the favor. Afraid they'd say no. But like 9 times out of 10, they are like, oh yes, of course, because they know that's what you have to do.
Yeah.
Let alone this is a quarterback in the NFL. So, I feel like as ESPN giving this quarterback more time on air, especially as a quarterback that I think surprisingly isn't that famous. I'm like, why does he not want to do the interview? And I saw one person, I forget who it was. They're like, this was a person being human and a 5 minute, like, or 5 second, like, real human emotion. No, this is not a one off. Justin Herbert hates the camera people in the media. There was the clip of him running into the cameraman for literally no reason, wide open football field, running on the field. He goes off to the right to push over the camera and keep running. Sounds like a jerk to me. And then he also will walk by, flip off the camera. The Chargers social media was making fun of Herbert earlier this year, like ways Herbert avoids us, and it's like hiding behind teammates. So like go out a different exit to not be seen by the camera. You're the quarterback, all right? You're not like, even if you're a receiver or running back, it kind of be funny. Like Marshawn Lynch did not like the media, but Marshawn Lynch was also like an all-time like really good running back at the time. Herbert hasn't won a Super Bowl. You have to earn that respect first, Herbert. You're not even famous to be annoyed with all this stuff yet. He's a loser. I think that was a loser move. He's a jerk to the camera people, and I think anyone who saw that is going to lose some respect for him. And who's going to root for him after seeing him be a jerk to this nice little sideline reporter who's doing her job? Imagine if the receiver was like, Herbert, not right now. Don't throw me the ball right now. I want to go talk to the cornerback. No, it's your job. He has to catch the ball. She's going to ask him the question. He's going to answer because that's part of his job.
I think you took that way too personally, dude. It wasn't
I
you.
did. I did.
First of all, plus, can you say her name? It's Laura Rutledge, who is phenomenal, by the way. She's an absolute angel.
Adam,
but
the only sideline reporter I know is Lisa Salters because she is a Penn Stater, and I will support her till the end.
That's the only one you know?
Okay, there's more that I know, but
I
like that's
say
the only
Aaron
one that
Andrews.
when I see Lisa Salters, I'm like, woo, Penn State.
I know a bunch of them. I love the sideline reporters.
I think they do a good job, and I think
Jenny
they should be more
Taft's
respected.
phenomenal. Molly McGrath is by far my favorite in the world. Laura Rutledge is great on ESPN. Aaron Andrews was like the first one, so that's huge. Yeah. Tom Rinaldi is great. One of the few guys who does it. Tom Rinaldi is phenomenal. Yeah, there's a lot of them. But I've never been a Justin Herbert guy, so I'm not going to sit up here and defend him, but I'm also not going to... You can't say people aren't going to root for the guy, because they will.
I've received a text from my stepsister who literally said, oh, like, Herbert was a jerk.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and she, like, now, like, not that she was going to root for the Chargers anyways, but, like, you see that and you're like, why is that guy being a jerk? Like, I think normal people who aren't, like, Chargers fans, if they see that, they're going to be like, oh, that guy seems like a jerk. And I'd like to use a harder word than jerk, but Adam, you yelled at me before, so I mean...
Well, you set the tone a long time ago in this podcast that I wasn't allowed to swear, so I'm not going to allow you to do it, buddy. That's just how it works.
I agree with that.
Tone. Plus, a lot of my students listen to this, so the junior high students, so we got to keep it PG. Keep
Ready?
it PG.
Here's the text message I received.
Oh, jeez.
I hate Justin Herbert. Just out of the blue, okay? Like,
well, I don't like him either. I'm a Jags fan.
I hate Justin Herbert, and I said, is it because he's mean to camera people? Yes, he's a jerk. And then I sent the reporter the video of him being, like, running into the camera people and flipping them off. And she said, I know, he's an idiot. All right?
Yeah. Oh, Justin Herbert.
He's a jerk.
But a lot of people are going to root for him. He's an Oregon Duck. A lot of Oregon fans will root for him.
Well, did the Oregon fans get to see him, or did he block all cameras from viewing the games?
They saw him a bunch. He's all
not in his house. It's like they're waiting on his driveway for him. He's on the field.
Plus, what do you mean he's not a famous quarterback? I feel like he's a very famous quarterback.
Listen,
he's dating one of the most famous people in the world.
He is, but Cameron Dicker said that him and Herbert like go in the street and like they just like don't get recognized really.
Well, he is in Los Angeles, California. Like there's a lot of other famous people in LA.
I don't think Herbert, considering how good he is at quarterback, I don't think he gets recognized that often compared to like Mahomes or Josh Allen or Lamar. You know what I mean? He's not that tier of famous for him to be like over the media when he's like what 27, 28, like
he's a baby. He's a pup. He's a pup.
Get used to it, buddy. You're a quarterback of the Los Angeles team, and yet I don't think he's even that known. So calm down.
Yeah, he can sling the ball though. Sadly, he can't.
He can only do it with one hand, and he fumbles it every other time.
I told you my opinion with Justin Herbert.
You were right all along. I actually think the Chargers will never win a Super Bowl with him being a jerk to camera people. The day that he apologizes. The day he apologizes and does a full day of interviews is the day the Chargers could win a Super Bowl with him at quarterback.
That's the bar? That's the bar?
The amount of negative karma that he has accumulated for himself is off the charts, Adam.
Well, of all the bars we got, it's just.
Do you think he would lose the Super Bowl because he doesn't want more media attention? Because I'm not. I'm convinced that might be the case. I just
Well,
think
I don't think he'll lose the Super Bowl because of it, but I also don't think he'll win one when he starts embracing it.
I don't think he wants the Super Bowl media. I think he doesn't want to get to the Super Bowl. He doesn't want to deal with it.
There's a lot of guys who don't like to do Super Bowl media.
Yeah, you know, but they do because that's their job, and they understand that.
They legally have to sit there for 5 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah,
so.
and guess what? Even if you hate it, you have to answer the questions, and I think most of them understand that the people asking the questions are doing their job.
Yeah, but not everyone does. You mentioned Marshawn Lynch.
Marshawn Lynch is a Super Bowl winning
Hey, he did it the year before they won the Super Bowl too. He just didn't do the famous one.
No, I know, but he validated why he was better than everyone because he actually was.
They won the game 43-8 because their defense scored like 3 touchdowns.
I know, Adam, but Marshawn Lynch won a Super Bowl, and we all know he was an all-time great running back. He he broke 8 tackles in one play. What has Herbert done?
We'll see. Let's not say once he starts getting nice, they're just immediately going to be all sunshine and rainbows in LA, and he's going to win a Super Bowl. This
is going to go up with the curse of the Bambino, the curse of Justin Herbert and the media people.
Yeah, maybe.
I hope.
All right, can we talk about the Panthers?
Yeah, talk about the last point. I hope Herbert's got to throw a touchdown and a camera falls from the sky.
Okay, that's never going to happen. I hope it does. I don't even know if they use sky cams anymore.
They do. Well, the kicks have sometimes hit the wiring and mess up the field goal kicks.
Yeah,
so.
But that's also behind the quarterback when they're playing. So
listen, I don't care how it happens. I want Herbert to lose.
All right, well, let's talk about the Panthers here, who are sadly the last team on our list. I like Bryce Young. He's having a really good year. Let's give kudos where it's due. Bryce Young's having a good year. For a lot of people that thought this was going to be his last year in Carolina, he's justified potentially getting another year. They're a team that's on the bubble. I think a lot of people thought this team was going to be close to having a top pick in the draft, but, they're right there in the playoff hunt. So credit to them. They've had a good year. They've found ways to win. Their defense has looked really good at times. They've had some bad games. The Bills game didn't go their way, but they've been really good. They've been especially good at home when they played in Carolina. Again, outside the Bills games, they've been really good playing in that home field. So, yeah, I think, if they get in and they sneak in the Bucs, I don't think they're going to win their playoff game against, whether it be Seattle or LA, but they just beat LA at home, though, so maybe they would. But I think it'd be a tough game, and they'd be a tough out. So I think the Panthers, they could be frisky, mostly because no one's expecting anything from them, but I don't think they're a team that's like, we can't play the Panthers in the playoffs. As much as I like the Panthers, it would, quietly be pulling for them a little bit in the NFC if the Bucs don't make it.
Yeah, I think if we did this the opposite way, it's funny thinking about if we did the opposite. I don't think
the Chargers would have went second if we did it the opposite way, though.
I don't think so either. I actually think if we did the opposite way, I think the first pick would have been the Colts.
Yeah, because without Daniel,
Yeah. The second pick probably would have been the Panthers.
Sadly.
And then the third pick, honestly, might have been the Bears.
I would have taken the Steelers where I took the Bears.
Oh, yeah, Steelers would have been third, yeah. Okay. Well, I agree with your point about the Panthers. They've had a fun season.
Frisky
team, yeah. Also, we could probably just cut some of that Herbert stuff out because we're way too long has gone by. I'm sorry.
Well, we'll go quick. Yeah,
we'll fly through the rest of it here.
Picks.
That's our draft of teams.
Yes.
The only team I think that could even make the playoffs realistically are the Bengals. If the Bengals made it, I think I'd put them on the level of. Honestly, I'd probably have taken them after the Jags and before, or no,
Yeah.
I'd probably take them after the Texans, but before the Lions. Actually, no, probably right after the Lions for me.
Sadly, I do think the Bengals are going to lose a game before the
So
end
do
of
I.
the year. Yeah, so if you've only won 4 out of 13, I can't predict you to go 4-0 over the next 4. Just can't predict it. It could happen, but I can't predict it.
Side note, I was right about the T. Higgins thing from last week, Adam. I was telling you that he smashed his head multiple times on the frozen turf and looked concussed and was walking around dizzy, and they put him back into the game.
Mm-hmm.
And then after the game, they said, yeah, he kept having concussion-like symptoms, so we kept pulling him in and out of the game. If he's having symptoms, pull him from the game. But no, they wanted to beat the Bills, I guess, so that doesn't matter. I was right all along. All right.
Man.
Let's get to our upset pick first, then game picks, right?
Yes, upset picks. Come on.
All right. Me?
Yeah, you want to go first? You can go first.
Sure. We talked about them earlier. Give me the Lions over the Rams. The Rams are a really good team, but the Rams' real, season, what they're fighting for is that game against the Seahawks. That's going to determine the 1 seed for them. And, the Lions are fighting to even just make the playoffs. I think it's a little bit different. Lions need this one really bad. Give me the Lions. I also think that offense, Amon-Ra St. Brown is playing. Gibbs has been phenomenal. He's getting hot at the right time. Jameson Williams is always a scary option just to launch an 80-yard touchdown. Montgomery looked really good last week. What scares me the most is their defense. And they are playing in LA, but it is an indoor game, which does help the Lions because they are very dependent on that. So give me the Lions. And
Yes.
it's plus 5.5. I could easily see the Lions losing by a field goal.
Well, you got them at 6 now. The line has moved to 6.
Oh, they're at 6? Oh,
yes, you got them at 6. You could get a push, which doesn't help you at all.
No, it does not.
But for me, actually, Chris, we've kind of been hot here. You're 3-2-1 in your last 6 weeks.
Wow, 3-2-1. That's pretty good for upsets too.
I'm 5-1.
Oh God.
So, yeah, I'm riding a heater. Dating back to week 9 when I take the Steelers over the Colts. My one loss in this stretch has been I took the Bengals to beat the Steelers, and it did not work as 5.5-point dogs.
That's probably the one I would have trusted the most.
So, here's what we're rolling with. I'm breaking the curse. I'm still upset about it. I'm going against the Steelers. I'm taking the Fins. Last week, I rode to a Tagovailoa in that cold weather in MetLife, and it worked out. I'm riding
What did you do?
Rode Tua. I rode Tua all day. All right, and I'm riding them again this week, baby. Give me Tua Tagovailoa and the Dolphins coming up to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania in the cold, windy, western PA weather, and I'm taking the Dolphins to upset the Steelers, 3-point dogs at Acrisure Stadium. Give me the Fins, who have been hot. They haven't lost since Halloween. They were undefeated in the month of November. They're undefeated in December, and they're going to keep it rolling this week.
I feel like that's cheating. Picking any team against the Steelers. There's terrible foul play over there.
Horrible against the Steelers. Let's check. So picking against the Steelers, I am 0-1. I'm 0-2 picking against the Steelers. 1-0 picking them, but I'm 0-2 picking against them. So I'm trying
How are the Steelers favored by 3?
They're at home against the Dolphins, dude. I don't think.
But the Dolphins, I don't think are really that much worse.
Yeah. Hey.
So is 3 the extra point thing? Like that's the next tier of points. Is if it's 3?
Yeah. So I actually only get this would only be a 3-pointer for me. You get 5. For yours.
Okay, and also too, if the Steelers win by 3, you don't get anything.
Yeah. Point totals. I'm at 36. You're at 25. So we're very close.
That doesn't sound very close.
But no, if I get mine wrong, you get yours right. It's 36-30, and we still have 3 weeks to play. So you're right there. So.
All right.
Yeah, so let's go to the game picks. We're not going to draft this week for the sake of time. We'll just go through our game picks real quick, back and forth here.
Let's fly, Adam. Let's fly.
Yeah, so we both had the Bucks tonight looking good. They're up 28-14, but Kirko's been known for some crazy comebacks, so do not count him out just yet.
I'm counting him out.
I would never count out Kirko. Big Kirko go dripping like this. But that's what's sitting now. That they got first and goal at the 6. But here we go. Bills, Patriots, Chris. Who do you got in New England rematch?
I wish it was in Buffalo, but it's not. I'm going to pick the Bills anyways. Think the Bills kind of getting hot at the right time. Josh Allen's been playing more like the Josh Allen that we've seen all year, or been expecting all year. He's still been good, but he's had some kind of duds, a few times this season. I think he's playing some of his best football, especially with this bad team. Oh, it looks like Bijan just scored a touchdown.
He did. I was just going to tell you.
But... yeah, my phone beeped. But anyways, give me the Bills, beat the Patriots. I think the Patriots are good. Actually, Vrabel is amazing off of a bye. That's the counter for the Patriots. However, I don't want to pick against Josh Allen ever.
I said before the year I thought this was going to be a split, and I'm not changing just because the Patriots won the game in Buffalo. Give me the Bills here to knock off the Pats and make this division race pretty interesting coming down to the last few weeks. Jags, Jets. I'll make it quick, Chris. I'm taking my boys. They're big favorites at home against the Jets, and I'll ride Duval to get to 10-4.
Give me the Jags as well. It's an easy one.
Yeah, I won't call it easy. Jags win the games they're not supposed to win sometimes, but they also lose the games they're supposed to win. All right, Ravens, Bengals, Chris. Interesting one.
I think this is going to be a close one. If the Bengals win this, I could talk myself into them winning the division again. However, I think Lamar looks better, but I liked what I saw from the Bengals last week. Give me the Bengals, Adam.
All right, you're taking the Bengals to potentially make this run. This is the big hurdle they have. Outside of this, it's kind of smooth sailing. They got to play the Dolphins, but kind of smooth sailing for the Bengals after this game. I'm taking the Ravens here. I think the Ravens get the job done. I think they bounce back. I always like splits in division, and I think Derrick Henry might get going. I think the Ravens, we'll see what this is a must-win game for Baltimore, and I think they do get the job done. Chargers, Chiefs in Arrowhead. Chris, who do you got? Chiefs coming off that tough loss on Sunday night.
Give me the Chiefs. If they win this game, I think they could actually, make the playoffs. we talked about this every single week. We said, oh, the Chiefs need to win. Chiefs need to win. Chiefs need to win. This is the last call. If they're ever going to make it, it's right here, right now. Chiefs need this one more than any other game that they've played all season.
Yes. I think the Chiefs win, and I think we should prepare the graphic. You know what graphic I'm talking about?
Bo Nix. Herbert curse of him in the media?
Nope. Bo Nix, how the Grinch stole Christmas when the Broncos beat the Chiefs on Christmas and steal the Chiefs' playoff hopes.
I think the Chiefs get to lose to the Broncos and make it. I think
9-8 is not getting you in. You got to start doing math. The
Chargers have a really tough schedule unless Phillip Rivers.
Chris, 9-8.
Out.
If the Colts win a game, they get to 9-8.
But the Chiefs have the tiebreaker.
They do have the tiebreaker, but the Chargers are going to win a game.
No, the Chargers would need to win.
You realize if the Chiefs beat if the Broncos beat the Chiefs, they would have clinched the division and potentially the 1 seed.
No. So look. If the Chiefs beat the Chargers, that's 7. They need to beat the Titans and the Raiders.
That gets them to 9-8.
That's what I said. That's it.
Yes, they are 6-7. They're 6.
I think they could beat the Broncos, though. I'm not going to give up on that.
Chris, do it.
No.
6-7.
No.
Al Michaels made that joke today, and I laughed. I'm hanging out with kids. I
really thought the joke would die out by now, but it is just persisted.
Kids keep things around forever.
Yeah.
Cardinals, Texans. Chris, Jacoby Brissett, you've liked, but this Texans team is hot.
Jacoby Brissett has become one of my favorite players. I always kind of just like the whole vibe of the Dolphins. I love Trey McBride. However, I think McBride actually might have a decent game, but I think they're not going to be able to run the ball at all. I don't think, unless Michael Wilson has another incredible game, I don't see the Cardinals having a chance in this one. Give me the Texans.
Yep, taking the Texans as well pretty easily for me. That offense playing pretty well. Browns, Bears. Did you see the weather for this game, Chris? Potential -20 real feel with the wind chill in Chicago.
Okay, but that's the real feel. What's it listed at? Do we know?
I don't know, but that's wind chill. They don't care what it's listed at. That means it's going to be really windy. It's going to
be windy the whole time. It's going to be gusts of wind.
Chris,
and the stadium blocks off some of it anyways.
It gets cold at Soldier Field. It gets cold.
I would love to take the Browns. I think Myles Garrett could have a great game here.
Shedeur coming off a big game.
Shedur's coming off a big game. I think Shedur's due for, a little bit of a regression. And the Bears need to win these games to make the playoffs, so give me the Bears.
Yep, I'm taking the Bears as well. Must-win game for Chicago, trying to bounce back. Plus, they looked good against Green Bay. Also, if you wanted to know, the Falcons went for 2 and did not get it, I believe. So it was 28-20.
Why? Why
it's the math. Remember, they do the whole you got to go for 2. The Browns did it last week when they went for 2 after being down 14.
Just kicked the extra point and been down by 7.
You go for 2 so you can win it with an extra point. You also can tie it. It's analytics. It makes no sense, but that's what the analytics say.
That one doesn't make sense.
Teams have been doing this for 5 years now, Chris. You've just caught on to this?
No, but I don't understand it.
Yeah, they've been doing it for a long time now.
But I understand it when you're down by 15, I get going. You score the touchdown and
you're
do it.
You're actually not supposed to. The analytics say do not go for 2 after the first touchdown.
No, but sometimes they do. And my thought process is
the analytics never say to. But
okay, well, I'm sorry, teams.
The analytics.
And if they do, and part of me is just like, all right, like at least you don't have to. You're just gonna lose anyway, so whatever.
It's all about possessions. That's what everything tells you. It's all about possessions. That's what they care about.
All right, Adam. I don't really know. My point is, when that stuff happens, I see that. Whenever they're done by 14, they go for it. I'm just like, I'd rather kick 2 field goals and go to overtime.
I've seen teams do it, and it's actually worked out. And I'm like, oh, there we go. But overtime's not a risk.
Plus, I think when your team isn't Kirk Cousins as the quarterback.
You're 4-9, Chris. You're 4-9. What do you have to lose? Just lose the game quicker.
Yeah.
Giants.
Well, they're not going to lose because now they still whatever. All right, Giants, Commanders. Give me the Commanders, I guess.
Wow, taking the Giants. Rolling with Jackson Dart here. Off the bye, the Commanders. I mean, Chris said no one could ever lose. Chris said no one could ever lose to J.J. McCarthy, and look what the Commanders did last week. They didn't just lose.
Jaden Daniels got hurt immediately.
Well, Jaden Daniels probably isn't playing this week.
He's not playing this week. I can't. It's in New York. Give me the Giants. I'm sorry.
Wow.
I just can't. I can't pick the Commanders. I can't do it.
Well, you just did, and now you're backtracking.
The moment I said it, I just knew it was the wrong pick. And I'm going to watch Jackson Dart run for 3 touchdowns and get drilled every time.
Well, something's got to give. Kenny Pickett versus the Eagles, Chris. Something's got to give here.
Eagles.
Yep, me too. Let's ride with the birds. All right. Phillip Rivers potentially starting. Don't know if he's officially been announced as the starter yet, but potentially starting here
It's
for the
looking
Colts.
like it.
Yeah, pretty much seems like it. But for Colts, Seahawks.
Seahawks, honestly, though, I wouldn't be surprised if Phillip looks decent.
I don't think he looks decent at all. I think the Seahawks win this game running away, and I think Phillip Rivers is going to realize, man, it's not that easy just to pick up the pigskin and start throwing it around after 5 years off.
But he was with Shane Steichen in LA with the Chargers. He was with them on the Colts, so he's very familiar with their system. And apparently, Phillip Rivers is the coach of his son's team in high school. And apparently, he calls Shane Steichen all the time to talk about plays, and he uses Shane Steichen's offense to run the high school team.
Chris, I'm not talking scheme. I'm talking he's old and his arm don't sling it the way it used to.
Mentally, he's going to understand the game and not have any problems there, I don't think.
Yeah, but mentally,
I don't think he's going to be able to throw the ball, Adam. I don't.
Mentally, can he throw the ball?
No, I don't think so, but we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Okay, yeah. Aaron Rodgers being 42 is a crazy thing. So 44, yeah, okay. He's not.
Think about how old Joe Flacco is and add 4 years to it.
Yep.
Or 3 years to it.
Seahawks, I think they run away with it. Packers, Broncos. Big game here, potentially for 1 seed implications, not just in the AFC, but also in the NFC. In Denver.
I'm going to take the Broncos. I don't think Josh Jacobs, if he plays, I think the Packers have a chance. But if they have no Jacobs, I don't think they have a chance.
Go Pack, go. Taking the Packers here. I think they get pressure on Bo Nix. I think it's a defensive slugfest, and I think the Packers find a way to win the game. Trust their offense a little bit more. Titans, Niners. Titans coming off a win. Their sideline reporter's been kicked off the team plane. Sad to see.
Why?
Because he leaked out a story that happened on the team plane on the way home when Cam Ward. So Cam Ward said after the game, after they won, being like, we can't get too high. We still have all these problems that we have to fix. And then one of the players got over the PA on the team flight home and was like, hey, let's celebrate this win. Screw what Cam said. And the sideline reporter leaked that out on his radio show this week, and they've now removed him from the team flights because you're not allowed to leak stuff out of that. So
that makes sense. However, I kind of agree with Cam Ward.
Well, no, I don't disagree with Cam Ward here, too. It's just, don't leak out that to the world. Leave that on the plane.
Maybe that's why the Titans have problems because, they're not united front. But
they also don't have a coach. So
Give me the Niners. I think their offense is good enough to beat any bad team.
Yep, I agree. Niners here get the job done. Panthers, Saints. Chris, Saints coming off a win. Panthers off the bye here. Must-win game for the Panthers as it looks like the Bucs are going to be able to potentially get the job done. Nope, the Falcons have the ball here with 7 minutes left at midfield.
I was going to say, Adam, the Falcons have the ball at midfield.
Just looked over, so there could be a huge game for the Panthers here to potentially get some control over the NFC South.
Yeah. Give me the Panthers. Coming off a bye especially, I like it. Saints are coming off a high of beating the Bucs. Classic now letdown game after a big win. I'm going to be honest. I'm kind of scared that Tyler Shuck is going to prevent the Saints from drafting a quarterback.
That ain't that. He's not going to be that good.
I know, but Adam, I don't think they're going to want to draft a quarterback when they just drafted Tyler Shuck, who is showing, hey, you guys don't need to draft one right now. I could be decent.
It's up to Kellen Moore. Kellen Moore wants a new quarterback. They're getting a new quarterback for the kid.
I agree. Also, by the way, Baker threw a pick. It's just how the Falcons got the ball back.
Yep. Panthers. Taking the Panthers here. Chris, you're taking the Lions, I'm assuming, in this one, as the Lions make the trip to SoFi.
I could just pick them to cover and just hedge my bet here.
That'd be so weak.
It would.
Realize how weak that would be?
It would. But I know you want me to pick the Lions. But I'm going to pick the Lions.
Chris, you're 13 games back in game picks, buddy. You better start splitting the picks at some point.
I was so good at this with Joe 2 years ago. I once had a perfect week. I was flying high, and I was like, wow, I'm so good. This is so easy. Last year, I did that Eliminator Challenge. I made it so far in my local league. I won it. This year has been a mess.
It's been a wild year. I'm not going to blame you either here. Yeah. It's been a wild year. I'm taking the Rams. I think they're the best team in the NFL. Vikings, Cowboys in AT&T. Long week for the Cowboys. They've been off for a while. Kind of forgot about them after that game again Thursday last week against Detroit.
It's in Dallas. I think the Vikings have a very good defense, but give me the Cowboys. J.J. McCarthy's coming off a good win. Mm-hmm. Please unlock Justin Jefferson. It's the easiest guy to get going. He just can't do it. But
yeah. They looked really, really good last week. But if this game was in Minnesota, I'd take the Vikings because I don't trust the Cowboys in any stadium outside of Jerry's World. But it's in Dallas, so the Cowboys are going to get the job done. That's just how they are at home. Monday night, Dolphins, Steelers. I'm taking the Fins. Of course, it's my upset pick. Chris, you riding with me or you riding with the Steelers?
I think my rule is I don't ever want to pick either of these teams, and I always pick against them. But now I have to pick one.
You can pick a tie.
I feel like if I call a tie before the game, I should get like 20 points.
I'll give you double points because we didn't give any points for ties. So
No, but no one's ever called a tie
you
before.
want 5? You want 5 points? I'm not giving you 20. I'll give you 5. If you want to call a tie.
Just give me the Steelers.
Okay. There you go. So
I just hate both those teams so much. I hate them.
I don't hate them.
I hate watching them.
Dolphins have been fun to watch the last couple weeks. I feel like they're your type of team. They don't play much defense. They have a lot of offense. They
don't have that much offense because Tua sucks, but...
Well, they've been scoring a bunch of points these last few weeks. They've been scoring
not the same when it comes from Tua.
Devon A-Chain, baby.
I like A-Chain.
Yeah.
All right. Next one.
All right. Well, no, that's the end. That's called.
Oh my God, that's all.
Monday night football usually ends it. So
I forgot it's Monday. That's a terrible Monday night game. All right, Adam. We're done with our weekly picks.
That's how it works. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, as we go into week 15, then 16, then 17, this is prime time for the fantasy playoffs. So we have a little fantasy football tips, tricks, stuff going into this playoff season. This is when we, you have to wake back up. Be like, all right, I'm in the playoffs. Go time. Get some waiver claims in there. Try to get some people in. I know it's after Thursday, but most of these games on Sunday. General advice, though, going into the playoffs. Number 1, it's now all about matchups each week, okay? When you're drafting before the season, you're just picking the guys you think are going to be good throughout the course of a year, and it all plays out. But now, if one guy has a bad matchup, even if they're better than this other guy, if they're playing the Texas defense, you might just not play him. It's about the matchup. Each week, you might just have a different lineup. That's how it is. Next thing, we talked about this, Adam, earlier during our picks. You have to look at the weather before these games.
Yep.
If it is going to be snowing or raining or feels like negative 20 degrees out, maybe don't have that third string receiver on your starting lineup. It's going to be very hard to catch.
That's usually when they go off, though, because the starters do nothing.
It's true. Maybe you don't play the starters. But guess what? This is why every year I have to remember when drafting these guys. Like, this was the problem with Stephon Diggs on the Bills. I draft him, and then towards the playoffs, he'd be like 40-mile-per-hour winds and heavy snow, and Diggs gets one catch for 5 yards. But now I have Amon-Ra St. Brown. Problem solved. All right. Last general rule before we get to specifics. You have to start drafting backups of running backs here, or just pick them up. Because week 17, you might just have a Falcon sitting Bijan Robinson because they had nothing to play for. It happens. Last year, I believe it was CeeDee Lamb did not play the last few games because he pulled a hamstring. They didn't feel like playing him because why would they risk it? Same thing with Alvin Kamara. You're just like, all right, if you have Bijan, draft or pick up Algier. If you have Gibbs, try to get Montgomery, but he's probably not available. But you get the point. Get these guys handcuffs, especially for the running back position. Because if anyone is not fully healthy, the team's not going to throw them out there if the games mean nothing.
Hey, all right. First off, I don't mean to interrupt.
Oh,
we need a round of applause here. The Falcons have done something that hasn't happened in the NFL in 7 years. At least 7 years, I think. They have 18 penalties.
Oh, wow. Congrats to the Falcons, one of the most poorly run teams.
They have 3rd and goal. Kirk Cousins is throwing for 307 yards tonight, boys. He's
all right. Well, Bijan's going off right now, so hopefully you have him. If you,
Kyle Pitts, did he catch it? No, touchdown. Kyle Pitts.
Oh wow, Kyle Pitts hat trick.
3rd touchdown of the day.
No. He's gonna win some of the fantasy matchup.
Yeah, so.
All right, Adam, let's start with the NFC South, all right? I just put down, each division, notes for key players, because, I want to cover, obviously, you're going to start Josh Allen, okay? I don't need to break down why I should start him. He's starting him. But I try to look at guys that are, fringe starters or, teams with an interesting situation. So, NFC South, I wrote, stay away from everyone besides Bijan Robinson and Chris Olave. I would not pick anyone in the Bucs right now to start. Mike Evans is back, Godwin's back, McMillan's back, Igbuka has been going down each week, but I don't know if these guys coming back are healthy. Maybe Bucky Irving you could start, but Bucky Irving, probably if you have him, he ruined your season. And then the Panthers, I wouldn't really trust anyone besides, I don't know if Rico Dowdle is still going to be the lead back. I don't know.
If you have
you have a choice, don't start anyone in the NFC South besides Bijan or Chris Olave. Maybe Devin Neal on the Saints. Worst case, he's the backup that's been playing with
Hold up. Let's calm down. I'd start Kyle Pitts right now. Dealing.
I heard this on a Ringer Fantasy Football podcast. If you lose your matchup because you started Kyle Pitts and it gets you like one catch for 12 yards, you're going to be like, why would I start Kyle Pitts? However, based on how he's playing right now,
win your
hey, listen,
3 touchdowns tonight.
If Drake London comes back, you could start Drake London. If Drake London does not come back, you can play Kyle Pitts as your tight end as long as you don't have like anyone else that's good at the tight end position.
Yeah.
All right. That's the whole division. All right. NFC North. For the Packers, the receivers, Jaden Reed and Christian Watson came back. They look really good. I would feel comfortable starting either of those guys if you need to, if you're not happy with one of your receivers. Josh Jacobs start if he's playing. If he's not playing, Emmanuel Wilson has looked really good. That one time he played with Josh Jacobs out. Bears are tough. They're a good team that has inconsistent fantasy players. You can play Caleb. I would not want to start DeAndre Swift, DJ Moore, Roma Dunze, or Luther Burden. Maybe Colson Loveland if you're desperate, but no. Vikings, can't touch any of them. Justin Jefferson has been a fantasy killer. If you have him on your team, you probably missed the playoffs. Jordan Addison came back, had a few good games with Carson Wentz, has been terrible since then. Lions. You talked about riding Tua, Adam. I'm talking about riding the Lions. Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jared Goff, Jahmyr Gibbs, Jameson Williams. Feel confident starting any of those guys. Jameson Williams, boomer bust guy, but in the playoffs, if you're trying to win your week, Jameson Williams could win you a week. He could also lose you the week, but, up to what you can afford based on your team. All right. NFC East, Eagles, trust no one.
Hey. Well, what if I have something to say? Are you just going to go and I'm just going to
interrupt me at any point, Adam. Interrupt me.
The Falcons did not get the 2-point conversion, by the way. So they're down 2.
They should have just kicked extra points.
Probably. But DeAndre Swift, what about him? He's had a good year. He's had a really good year.
No, he's had not, Adam.
He's had some big games.
He has.
He ran all over Philadelphia.
Would you like me to find his fantasy production each week?
But plus, you got to look at this. You mentioned weather? What are the Bears going to do in that cold weather?
His opponents are going to be the Cleveland Browns, the Green Bay Packers. Who just let
Tony Pollard run all over them.
Yeah, a little bit.
Who just let
But these are his last few games, okay? So, week 10 on 14, 9, 1, 20, 11. I would really only be happy with 2 of those games. He was doing well before that, but in the last
4 games, you'd be happy with 2 of them. So it sounds like
in the last 5 games, I'd be happy with 2 of them. That's below average. His best games, Philly has had a bad run defense this year, and the Giants terrible run defense. And also, you know what is Monangai has come in and kind of took over the touchdowns.
He has. Kyle Monangai.
So I would not start Swift if possible. I would honestly rather play Monangai.
All right. Well, we'll see.
All right,
Browns got carved up last week. So
they did. All right, already mentioned the NFC South. NFC East. Eagles, trust no one. Saquon, you could probably start. And AJ Brown.
You have to.
You probably have to, but
because you drafted him so high, so he's kind of on your team, and you don't have much else with him. So
yeah, Saquon has looked better and been able to crank out a random long touchdown. AJ Brown looks upset every game, but he is kind of catching the ball again.
Mm-hmm.
So you could probably play AJ Brown. Jalen Hurts, I honestly would look at playing someone else. What's scary with him is he could just, if they're at the 1, he's getting a rushing touchdown every time, and you just want that extra 2 points for the rushing touchdown. Devontae Smith, I would not play. Goddard, you probably play.
Can you live with those guys on the bench this week? You mentioned matchup. They're playing the Raiders.
I would still bench Devontae Smith. I'd play AJ Brown, Saquon, or Jalen Hurts or Goddard.
Yeah, I think you have to play. Plus, the Eagles are throwing the ball like 40 times a game. Have you noticed that?
Didn't help last week.
No, but hey, that means touches.
The Cowboys, one of the best fantasy teams of the season. You have Dak Prescott, you have George Pickens, CeeDee Lamb, Javonte. They're all good. You'll be fine.
Wow, no Jake Ferguson.
He's kind of really fallen off with CeeDee Lamb.
You were really high on him early this year.
Because he was playing great, Adam.
Yeah.
All right. CeeDee Lamb came back. He's kind of been quiet. And then also the Flournoy might be a good pickup if CeeDee Lamb is hurt, but CeeDee Lamb might play. Giants. I would only start Jackson Dart and maybe, Theo Johnson if needed. I don't think you're going to play anyone else. Maybe Wan'Dale Robinson if you need him. But
Darius Slayton. Come on, baby.
If you are very desperate in a deep league. Commanders, no one. Not a single person.
Yeah, probably.
People have played Debo, but I would not.
I'd say Debo's someone that comes to mind. But
McLaurin, if he's healthy, but McLaurin already is boomer bust, let alone this season with Mariota. No.
Yeah. Debo would be the only one I could think of. Sadly, not Zach Ertz.
Yeah, Zach Ertz would have been a decent option. All right, NFC West. Obviously, the Rams, Stafford, Puka, Devontae Adams are great. I would say, though, their running back situation, Blake Corum has been getting more and more of these touches in the end zone. If you need if you're in a deep league or you just need a running back and there's not a lot of options left, Blake Corum might be a good pickup.
Absolute dog.
Yeah. Seahawks, besides JSN, just don't touch the running backs, please. Don't. I don't know who's going to get the points. Charbonnet gets all the red zone, but Kenneth gets all the catches and the things, from 20 to 20. So stay away from that. Start JSN, maybe Darnold if you want.
I would say Sammy D could have a big week this week. Colts secondary's been a problem.
Yeah, you could start Darnold, but if you have a really good quarterback, I wouldn't even worry about it. Niners, Purdy's looking better. I think you could start him. In the beginning, it was a little rough and shaky. Obviously, you're going to play McCaffrey, Kittle if you have him. Jawan Jennings looks really good. This week they're playing the Titans, so I would play Jawan Jennings as well if you needed to. Their defense is tough. It's against the Titans. You could probably start them against the Titans, but I would not start them against anyone else.
Defense has always been matchup based anyway.
Yeah. However, some teams like the Texans, Seahawks, their floor is pretty good, but against the Titans, and then also against the Colts, you could probably pick up the Niners defense, but it's not a great, defense to have.
We also skipped Eagles defense. Great.
Oh yeah, you could play the Eagles defense against the Raiders this week.
Yes.
Last one, Cardinals in this division. Michael Wilson is great. He has overtaken Marvin Harrison as their receiver one. I believe Michael Wilson in the weeks that Marvin Harrison has been out has had 36 catches, and Marvin Harrison on the year has 40.
Yeah.
So that's kind of ridiculous.
I will say, if Marv plays, you might want to take a look. Michael Wilson's production drops drastically when Marvin Harrison Jr. is on the
field. I would also say this week, play no one on the Cardinals except Trey McBride.
Well, Marv's not playing this week either. So
yeah, I know, but I'm saying even with Marvin out, don't play Michael Wilson. They're playing the Texans. They're the best defense in the league. You can only play McBride because he's that good, and they're probably going to have to throw to someone. McBride's guaranteed 5 catches a game.
They're going to throw it 40 times.
I know, that's why you have to get
all
McBride,
they do.
But I think this is a game where I wouldn't even start Brissett, but Brissett, honestly, if you have any quarterback injury that happens, you need a backup quarterback, Brissett's your guy besides this week.
Yeah, but Marv actually had a decent week. The week he played against the Bucs, he was decent, and Michael Wilson didn't do much. So if Marv's on the field, you have to watch Michael Wilson.
Yeah. All right. AFC side now. All right, sorry, AFC North. The Ravens, I think you could trust Lamar after last week. You could maybe trust him again, but I would not touch any of the receivers or Mark Andrews. Don't touch him. Don't.
What about Derek?
You can trust Derek. If you wanted to play a tight end this week against the Bengals, you can. The Bengals have been allowing the most points to tight ends this season.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't want to do it. I hate them. Steelers, I wrote down no. Maybe you could play. But here's the thing: is it Jalen Warren or is it Kenneth Gainwell? I don't know.
Jalen Warren's had some decent weeks recently.
I think I'd rather play Kenneth Gainwell.
I just said recently when they've been good, when they've won some games, Jalen Warren's been good.
When they have a split backfield and you're not a good team, that's kind of difficult to predict who's going to be good. They don't have any receiver. I trust DK Metcalf. I think looks okay at times, but if you could, I would not rely on any Steeler.
A-Rod slung it against the Ravens to DK. He was slinging that thing. He was.
Bengals, obviously Burrow and Chase, and then I would say maybe Chase Brown if you want. He's been getting better throughout the year. T. Higgins if healthy, but I would say if T. Higgins is out, you could play Mike Gesicki probably.
Mike Gesicki with Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow loves Mike Gesicki.
He does.
I don't know why.
Especially if there's no T. Higgins, Gesicki becomes your second option.
Yeah, he loves him.
And last one here, Browns. Depending on the matchup, I could say Shadur. Harold Fannin has been great. And Quinshon Judkins is tough. I think he's looked great. Fantasy-wise, some games his points aren't as good as his actual play. But I'd rather play someone like that who, and also when they're within the 5, he just is the wildcat quarterback and he just runs it in. So
if he doesn't score touchdowns, he doesn't catch the ball. So it's all gonna be on touchdowns. Shadur, stay away, man. Stay away. They have a brutal schedule.
I would probably stay away.
They have a brutal schedule. A lot of people are saying they should bench him because they think they're setting him up to fail. I'm like, well, what do you want at this point, guys? You wanted him to play. Now you don't want to play. Just make up our minds now. Like, come on. He played well last week. But now they have a brutal stretch.
They do.
So.
AFC South. On the Jags, Jacoby Myers, I think, depending on the matchup, you could play. Um, but I don't really love. I mean, Trevor's probably like a quarterback that you would play have as a backup, and
Hmm.
I think Brian Thomas just burned you the whole season just out of spite. I wouldn't even play him. Running backs out of I kind of had to come to you. My friend
Travis
is
Etienne.
Travis Etienne and his team, and I'm like, it's either gonna be him or Tuen, but I can't ever predict which one's
Travis
gonna go off.
Etienne. Basil Tootin fumbled last week, so I think Etienne's going to kind of get the lion's share of the carries. Although I got to watch here, Brenton Strange has been really good since coming back from injury. And Trevor
He
loves him.
has, I would
And
say
Trevor
though,
loves him.
with I was a little, with Brian Thomas coming back, Brent Strange a little bit more questions about, but I think he'll still be good.
Yeah, he looked good against the Colts. Trevor's coming off his best game. And they play the Jets this week, so pick what you
But they
want.
do
But
have an
Travis
easier matchup.
Etienne's their guy. Etienne's
Yeah.
their guy. Etienne also
All right.
catches the ball a little bit more than Tootin does. So
Yeah. Texans, you could start that defense any week. I don't care who they play.
Mhm.
You could start Nico Collins because I think even against good teams, he still can get some of his own. And they do have an easier rest of the season. It's all
Yeah.
indoors. You don't have to worry about it. I picked up their kicker, Cammy Fairbairn, because I'm like, all right, I don't have to worry about a random terrible win game. I used to have Cam Little, but I was like, all right, I don't want to. In New York, I'm like, I'd rather have Fairbairn inside. Colts, you have to play Jonathan Taylor. I don't like to play in one of the Colts with Philip Rivers right now. Here's my hope though for Philip Rivers and what the Colts could be. If he could just dump it off and get a lot of receptions to Jonathan Taylor, to Tyler Warren, those guys can stay fantasy relevant. I think Michael Pittman could stay relevant. The guys on the fringe like Alec Pierce who are getting these one deep shots a game for 60 yards, I think that's going away. That's not going to be the game plan. However, I think at the very least Jonathan Taylor could get it like maybe instead of 3 touchdowns and 200 yards, I think now a good Jonathan Taylor game is going to be like 80 yards rushing and 30 receiving yards with 6 catches.
When's his last big week? The Falcons game in Germany? Is that the last time he went off?
I think it's really, really off. I mean, last week he did have a touchdown, but he didn't really do much besides that. So
no, he did not.
I think Philip Rivers is going to do a lot of checkdowns, so I think he's going to get more receptions.
I don't think Jonathan Taylor's your check down guy. I think it's the second guy on your list.
Jonathan Taylor's been catching the ball more this year. It's not like he's Derrick Henry who can't catch. I think he'll be.
I think who did Philip Rivers always love throwing the ball to?
Darren Sproles.
Who did he love throwing the ball to? Who did he get to the Hall of Fame? Tight end. Who's he got in Indianapolis? He's going to love him.
I don't think Philip Rivers is prime Philip Rivers. I think it's going to be like a Drew Brees on his last legs to Kamara situation. Not that Jonathan Taylor plays anything like Kamara, but Jonathan Taylor's been averaging 3 catches, 4 catches a game he could easily get. So maybe he gets 6 one game, That gets, 6 easy points.
I think them Tyler Warren 5-yard crossers are going to be all throughout that game plan this week.
Maybe. Titans, I said no one. Maybe Shamir DK.
Tony Pollard had coming off a big game.
That was his only solid performance this season.
Getting hot at the right time.
No. AFC East, Bills, I would really only feel comfortable with Josh and James Cook. Maybe Kincaid. I would not want to start any of their receivers or even their defense.
Yeah, pretty much.
All right. Patriots, probably just Drake May. Maybe Diggs, but Diggs is kind of a weird fantasy guy because he's where it matters most in the red zone and big plays, but not very reliable. Keyshawn Booty usually scores a random touchdown, or maybe they just have someone on their team always randomly gets a long touchdown. Hunter Henry's been okay.
I was saying Hunter Henry.
Hunter Henry's been okay. If you need him, that's fine, but I think the tight ends really also kind of depend on the matchup besides Trey McBride and Brock Bowers.
Mm-hmm.
Last one, or I guess Jets, I wrote stay away. I don't know who you'd touch on the Jets.
Yeah, I mean,
Brees Hall, I would not want to play.
Garrett's not playing.
Not playing. Mason Taylor had some moments where I thought he might be, but I don't think he's reliable.
My boy John Mechie some love, just to say his name. Just to say his name. I think
Mitchell from the Colts in that trade, he actually 1 week had a lot of targets, but if Tyrod isn't starting and it's that Cook kid, that six rounder, don't touch the offense. Dolphins, I wrote Achane definitely, maybe Waddle if you need him.
Yep.
And I would say against the Bengals in 2 weeks, you could play Darren Waller because, like I said, Bengals' worst tight end defense, but I would not want to get anyone else. If they have, what's his name? Their second string running back, I think it's Wilson, or forget what his name is.
Think so.
If Achan doesn't play this week, maybe, but I would really rather not. But if you had to, or is it Jalen Wright? I think it's Jalen Wright. Um, you could probably play him if you need to. All right, AFC West, last one here. Broncos, they have a tough end of the schedule. They're gonna have the Chargers. They're gonna have the Chiefs. I think you play Bo Nix and RJ Harvey. Like each game, you could probably feel fine about that because even in tough games, RJ Harvey's gonna get 4 catches. The receivers is where it's kind of scary. It's kind of just been roulette with it, whatever receiver is going to have a good day.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's Cortland Sutton, but I wouldn't feel happy with that. Evan Ingram has kind of been really up and down this year. Troy Franklin has had some moments, but not a lot.
Marvin Mims is there for a 40-yard catch every now and then.
Yeah, I would do it for receivers if possible. Chargers. I would play Marion Hampton if you needed a second running back. I would try to avoid him as a flex spot, but I actually have to play him in a flex spot in one league because I don't have many other choices. Herbert, I guess you can play. I actually think he's going to have more fumbles with a broken hand, so like you're going to get a -2 every once in a while, which is going to sting. Also, I know the Eagles have a good defense, but Herbert looked really bad. That passing offense was just bad. I would trust none of their receivers. I would say Ladd McConkey is their most reliable, but last week he had 1 catch for like 12 yards.
Yeah.
Quentin Johnston has kind of disappeared after a hot start again.
Mm-hmm.
Same with Keenan Allen. If Keenan Allen doesn't score a touchdown, he's completely useless.
Stay away from Marion Hampton this week. Stay away from
Why?
him. Because I texted you this. The Chiefs have only allowed 3 running backs to go over 70 yards this year. One of them was James Cook, who ran for 114. One of them was Saquon in week 2, had like 25 carries for 88 yards. And then one of them was Justice Hill, who had a 71-yard touchdown against the backups in the Chiefs' annihilation of the Ravens earlier this year. So they've been great against running backs. So
I think they have. However, I think Hampton's being used more in the running and the passing game this last week, which was nice to see, and I think they were starting to get him used to that more. Vidal actually is obviously their pass catching back, but Hampton can still catch the ball, and I think he looks good last week. I'd say Hampton could probably get you like 14 points. I don't think he's going to go off though.
Vidal probably had a decent game. He had that 50-yard catch to start it.
Yeah, I think he ended though with like not a lot, but he had a good
10
start.
points, we'll take her.
Yeah. And last one, Raiders. I don't even want to say Brock Bowers because Kenny Pickett's the quarterback, but I think you have to play Brock Bowers because the fact that he could probably make like 4 catches a game that no one else could make at the tight end position. He could, and if they score a touchdown, it's probably to Brock Bowers. The only other guy I would say is Ashton Genty. It is the ugliest 16 points you're going to see a game. It's going to be 8 catches. It's going to be 60 yards of running that are going to be an ugly 60 yards, but have to play him.
Hey, Kenny's a big tight end guy, so we'll see.
Yeah, I think Brock Bowers is a good bet. But the issue with Brock Bowers is you probably missed your playoffs because he like kind of killed you the first half of the season.
Well, the Falcons are knocking on the door of field goal range to walk it off here after a 4th and 18 conversion from Kirk Cousins.
Wow. Who would have thought, too? Kyle Pitts, of all players, when the start of the playoffs. It's kind of crazy.
Never a doubt. People were drafting him 1-1 this year, Chris. He's that guy.
Who is the ball right now?
The Falcons. I just told you. They just picked up like a 4th and 18 to get a first down. Oh, wait, there's a flag. Could be coming back. But I thought they already spiked it.
I think the ESPN app has died. It was 4th and 14. He did the pass deep right to Stills for 20 yards.
Yes, and they got a first down, and then there was just an offsides and a legal substitution on the Bucks that gave them the Falcons 5 yards.
Don't worry, the ESPN app finally updated. Adam, do you want to just wait here for this game to finish out?
We can. Zane Gonzalez is warming up right now as we speak.
All right. Well, I'll say this, Adam. If the Panthers... Do you think the Panthers or Bucks, do you think either one of them could actually contend this year or no?
I think the Bucks could get a sneaky run if they get the right matchup. Like if they get the Seahawks at home, like and Sam Darnold turns into Sam Darnold in the playoffs, you win that game. Maybe you get, I don't know, you upset the Rams and just.
I would say if the Bucks could get the Seahawks, I don't even want to say the Seahawks, but maybe if they could get like the Bears.
Well, they could get the Seahawks and then potentially get the Bears if the Bears would be the 2 seed.
If you get the Eagles, the Bucks like playing the Eagles.
They could if the 7 would beat the 2, and then the Eagles being the 3, they could get the Eagles. So like, there's a path where they could get a path that would favor them, and we'll see what happened. But I mean, the Panthers, it would be a miracle run for Bryce and the boys, which I would love to see. I would love to see Bryce Young.
If Bryce Young won a playoff matchup, what do you think has been the most like ridiculous playoff win that has stunned you?
That has stunned me in the
Like
playoff.
on the same level of Bryce Young winning a playoff game.
Uh, Probably Tannehill's run in 2019 when they beat Tom Brady, ended his career in New England, and then they beat the 1-seed MVP Ravens to go to the AFC Championship game and get absolutely waxed by the Chiefs after the Chiefs. That was the year the Chiefs were spotting everyone 2-possession leads and double-digit leads and coming back on everybody. So here comes Zane Gonzalez with 4 seconds left, by the way. But that's the one that comes to my mind off the top of my head. Blake Bortles beat the Killer Bees and the Steelers that year, 45-42. The Jags winning wasn't stunning. The fact that it was 45-42 probably stunned a lot of people. But
real quick, Adam, on the Falcons, Algier, I was gonna say is maybe someone you could start recently. However, Algier today had 2 carries for 18 yards, so very efficient night. But seems like
9 yards a pop, 9 yards a pop, baby.
They didn't really do a split backfield today. I'll also say this about the Falcons. Bijan is one of the best backs in fantasy when the Falcons are not in the red zone, and Bijan could break out a long touchdown, get a bunch of passes.
Yep.
However, when the Falcons get in the red zone, they just love to give the ball to Algier. In one league, I started Algier because I have a plethora of injuries, and it looks like that was a bad decision because he's going to end with 1.8 points.
Yeah. Hey, Saquon used to be that way where if he got tackled at the 1, there goes your touchdown, boys.
Yes, but Saquon was getting 18 carries a game, not 2.
Yeah.
So this is kind of where Algier's only in the red zone. It's as if it was Jalen Hurts only as a runner. That's kind of Algier.
Zane Gonzalez, 43 yards to win it here in the Pirate Ship at Raymond James Stadium. Good snap, ball down, the kick by Gonzalez is up, and the kick squeaks through the upright, and it is good, and the Falcons have knocked off the Bucs 29-28.
Adam, earlier this podcast, I said, doubt it, when we were saying
I
the Falcons.
said Kirko could come back. Never a doubt from me. I said Kirko's done this before.
Emergency end of podcast, quick update. Now that the Bucs lost, and they had literally everyone back on their team, let's look at the playoff machine.
Well, it really probably doesn't change much for him, does it? It still comes down to those games against the Panthers. Like, if they sweep the Panthers, it's kind of a
let's say the Panthers beat the Saints this week.
Yeah.
That would have the Panthers tied with the Bucs, but they'd own the division because of the tiebreaker.
They would be tied if they win. The Bucs are 7-7, and the Panthers would be 8-6.
Oh my God, you're right. All right.
Yeah, the Panthers, they're tied. Right? They were tied.
Now they can split. So
yeah, they can split.
Let's say the Panthers win at home.
They just need to win one.
And then the other week, let's give the win to the Bucs. The Panthers. So this would then lead down to, assuming the Panthers beat the Saints, and they could split the other. In week 17, the Panthers are home against the Seahawks. Let's say the Panthers lose. But the Bucs are at the Falcons, and if the Bucs beat the Falcons, it's still Carolina, Adam.
Wait, the Bucs play in Atlanta?
I thought I'm sorry. I read that wrong.
They played Atlanta twice already. There
Week 17, Bucs at Dolphins, Seahawks at Panthers. Let's say the Bucs beat the Dolphins and the Panthers. Actually, no, I need to flip that. Panthers lose to the Seahawks. Carolina would have the tiebreaker, though, with an even record. But
at the end of the day, the Bucs still control their own destiny, but they have to sweep the Panthers. So nothing's really changed. It's all what the Bucs do against Carolina.
But here's the thing: a split. All right, let's say this week, if the Bucs beat the Falcons, and let's say next week, let's say they split against the Panthers like we had.
Yeah.
And let's say the Bucs and the Panthers both won week 17, and then they split again. So no, this game does change the outcome, though. It changes the tiebreaker because of the division wins.
Yeah, no, but it's still at the end of the day, if the Bucs sweep the Panthers, they're fine.
Sweep, yes, but
yeah, they have to sweep. They gave them no room for error, but
they used to only need to split, and then they could win week 17. Panthers lose week 17 because they're probably going to lose to the Seahawks.
Yeah. Saints could help them out this week, Chris.
Listen, this is an all-time choke job for the division by the Bucks. Yeah. It really is. No, it is. It is.
This might not be even the worst in the season this year.
Yeah, I would say it's worse.
Colts were 7-1.
Yeah. Well,
the Texans started 0-3.
Yeah, this game could have costed the Bucks the division, assuming though the Panthers win this week. If the Panthers lose this week, the Bucks actually might be okay.
But nothing's changed if the Panthers lose this week. They're literally in the same spot they were going into this week if the Panthers lose. So
true. However, then though, if the Bucks won, the Panthers lost, it would have really given the Bucks a big lead.
Yes. At the end of the day, if the Bucks sweep the Panthers, it doesn't matter.
I don't think they're going to sweep the Panthers. Do you think they're going to sweep the Panthers?
I actually do.
They just lost to the Falcons and the Saints. What confidence do you have in the Bucks now?
Well, just figure it out, baby. Figure it out.
How long can we say a team's going to figure it out?
It's also the Bryce Young's now in we need to win games mode. There's pressure on him now.
So. Adam, Mike Evans had 132 yards today.
Yes, he did.
He could try to go for it.
He could. What's that put him at?
Let's see. I have him in fantasy leagues. That's another fantasy advice. Pick up Mike Evans, because if he gets close enough, they will force feed him the ball to get 250 yards in week 17 if they need to. Let's see. What year are we in? All right.
What year are we in?
So he's currently at 140. I don't think that takes... All right, let me go to his game log because...
Well, 140 plus $132, so he is at 270. Chris, he's not getting. He can't get 800. He can't get 730 yards in 3 games.
Never
over 200. That's like 250 yards a game.
He could do it, Adam. Listen, maybe you have to play Mike Evans in a league if you're desperate. I should have played him. It's going to upset me. Cheap, easy red zone target, too. But, all right.
We'll see.
Let's wrap up. We're almost going to break a record for longest episode. Yeah. I feel like most people probably tuned out because if you already are listening to this tomorrow, which you at least have to be, you already know the outcome of this game that the Falcons won. But,
yeah. But, hey,
anyways,
I think the division, honestly, if we're being honest, the division comes down to next week. If the Bucks win next week, I think they sweep them. If they lose next week, it's over.
No, because the Bucks or the Panthers could still win week 18 and win.
I know, but I'm saying I think the Bucks at home, I think they get the job done if it comes down to it.
If the Panthers win next week, the division's probably over. Yeah.
Yeah. I said the Panthers need to win the home game. You don't want to put all the pressure going on the road for a team that's never had that type of pressure before.
Yeah. All right. We'll see.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Adam, close us out.
Oh, wow. Makes me do it. No, thanks, man.
You're the host.
Yeah. All right, well, please, leave a like, subscribe to the channel. We truly do appreciate it. Make sure to check out all the short-form content. We really appreciate all the support. For my partner, Chris Reynolds, I'm Adam Sheets. We thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time.